CAT 2024 Slot 3 LRDI Puzzle 1. This was a missing numbers puzzle where a table has been given to us and we have to fill this table and have to answer the questions. Let's start solving it out. The table given below shows the amount in grams of carbohydrate, protein, fat, and all other nutrients per 100 gram. So, one important information of nutrients in 7 food grains. The first column shows the food grain category and the second column is the code name. The table has some missing values. So this is the table given to us. So let's first of all make this table so we can start filling up the information with the help of the additional information. So let's make the table first. So this is the table that has been given to us. Now we will just add all the information they are giving it to us. It says both the pseudo cereals had higher amounts of carbohydrate as well as higher amounts of protein than any millet. That means the carbohydrate and protein gonna be higher in pseudo cereals than in millet. That means this value has to be greater than any millet. Let's change the sign. Let's change the color. So that will be easy to understand. This has to be greater than millet. This has to be less than P. This has to be greater than millet, and this has to be less than P, and this has to be less than P. The next information that they say, so this is done. Both the cereals had higher amount of carbohydrate than any pseudo cereals. So both the cereals has, this is the greater value than any pseudo cereal. That means this information is also being written now. The next information says all the missing value of carbohydrates are in the multiple of 5. So these values going to be multiple of 5. The missing one, not the existing one, they have been given to us. And the missing values for protein, fat, and other nutrients should be multiple of 4. They all will be multiple of 4. The last information given before we start making the table, completing the table. P1 contain double the amount of protein that M3 contain. The amount of protein in P1, this value, has to be double than M3. So that means if this is A, this has to be twice of A. Now this is all what we know. Let's start solving this out. Now also they have said this, the quantity for all of these cereals, the food grain, that is 100 grams in each category, in each C1, C2, M1 and so on. So every category has 100 grams of carbohydrate, protein, fat, other nutrients in total. So let's see how much we have. Here we have it 12 right now. Here we have it 15. We already have. This is 72. This is 16 and 7, 23. This is 12 for 56 and 12, 68. This is 76. And this we have already 22. Now let's start doing it. Now one thing which I have to see here, that the value of C2, if I try to find out, this has to be greater than P. That means this value has to be greater than 66 at least. If this value is less than 66, in that case, if this is more, then we need to see that also. Now here I can see this value is greater than M. That means this value has to be greater than 62. So all these things that we have to keep in our mind. Now let's start. First of all, let's start with millet 2, because this seems to be an easy one to me, because here we can say this has to be less than P. That means this has to be less than 14 at least, and this has to be less than P. That means this has to be less than 66. And the total we already have 23. That means remaining is only 77. And to make 77, one is a multiple of 5, other is a multiple of 4. We have to take it in two different parts. So one, it can be 4 and 73, not possible. because this has to multiple of 5. We are just taking this as a multiple of 4. If I take this as 8, this has to be 69. That is also not possible. If I take this as 12, this is 65. That is the possible chance. That means this makes sense because this has to be less than P, and I can see this is 66, and 65 is less than 66. So that definitely makes sense. That this value also has to be less than P. That 14 is here, so we can have 12. So both these values are satisfying it. So let's go with it. This is 12, and this is 65. So millet 1 is done. The next, the same grounds, we can find more values. Let's check what more we can get. So this is done. M2 is done. The next we can pick up, that is this M1, 72. We are left with 28. No, here we do not have the information right now. Let's leave it for time being. Let's solve these first. This has to be greater than millet. That means this has to be greater than 65 at least. So here we are left with 78. We are solving this particular P2 serial now. So this has to be greater than M. That means this has to be greater than 65. So this has to be at least 70. So if this is 70, this is 8. And if this is 75, this is 3. This is not possible. That means here we have 70 and 8. That makes definitely sense. So 0 serial P2 is also solved here. Now let's pick up the next. What next we can pick up? Now C1 and C2 we can pick up because we know the maximum value we got 70. That means this has to be greater than 75. Now let's solve this first. On C2 we have remaining 85. So if one value is, this has to be greater than 70, that means if it has to be at least 75, the next will be 10. Sorry, this is 3 plus 10, 13, sorry. So we are left with 87. So 75 and 12, that makes sense. If I take it beyond, that will not give me a multiple of 4 here. That will not come. So that means 75, 12, that makes absolutely sense here. So this is 75 and this is 12. On the same grounds, if we look at the C1 now, the remaining is 88, and again this has to be at least 75. But with 75, I get 13, which is not a multiple of 4, and I need everything to be other than carbohydrate to be multiple of 4. So this makes 80, and then this makes 8. Now that makes sense. This is 80, and this is 8. So C1 is also done. Cereals are done. Now what else we can solve? Let's check this. This has to be less than A, and the 76 is already done. We are left with 24. Here we have 68, and we are left with 32. And this has to be less than P, that means less than 14 at least. So if this is 14, I mean 12, it can be 12. A can be 12. If I take A is equal to 12, then 2A will be 24. Now, if this is 24, then fat has to be 0, but they mentioned in the question that they all are multiple of 4 and they are non-zero multiples of 4. So that means that can't be 24. This can't be 12. This can't be 24. So A cannot be 12. Let's take A as 8 because we have to take it a multiple of 4 only. So if A is 8, 2A is 16. Now, if this is 8, this is 16. That definitely makes sense. If I take A as 4, then 2a will be 8. Now that will not be right, because if this is 8, but this say it has to be greater than millet, and millet is already 12, that means this is not right. So we have to take 8, 16. That is absolutely right. This makes sense. The value of protein in M3 is 8. Here it has to be 16. Now let's go further. What else is remaining? Now this we can easily complete. Now 66 and 16 is 82 and 10, 92, and this is gonna be 8. That is 100. P1 is also done. The zero cereals are done. In millets we have 56 and 8, 64 and 12, 76, and this is gonna be 24. That also becomes 100. So that is also done. So we are getting all these values equal to 100 now. The only one is left, and that is for M1. Now here we can have it 28, and there are multiple pairs are available. So let's not finalize it. Let's look at the questions first. The first question says, for how many food grains had a higher amount of carbohydrate per 100 grams of nutrients than M1? Now M1 had 62. How many are more than that? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That means the answer to that question, the first question we're going to get, that is 5. That is right. The next question which we have, that says how many grams of protein were there in 100 grams of nutrients in M2? In M2, the protein we have 12. So that should be the answer. That is right. The third question says how many grams of other nutrients were there in 100 grams of nutrients in M3? In M3, that is 24. That gives me the answer to that also. The next question which we have, which was the median of the number of grains of grams of proteins. So median, that means the central value. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 values. That means we have to take it into consideration. The first is 8, second is 8. If I'm putting them in ascending order, it is 8, 8, 10, 12, then again 12, 14, 16. So central value, that is 12. So that is the median I have. That means that is the answer we get. So that is all. There are only 4 questions to this, so though all 4 questions are done. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys understood it. I hope you guys will like it, comment it, and definitely share it with your friends. And do subscribe for more videos like this. Thank you so much.